My Lords, I congratulate my noble friend Lord Brady of Altrincham on his maiden speech, and I wish noble Baroness Lady Quinn every happiness in what I'm sure and hope will be a long retirement with her family. My Lords, I think there are only two successful attempts forcibly to remove a body of members of Parliament from Parliament, consisting mostly of your opponents. One of them was carried out by the New Model Army in the 17th century, and the other by the Labour Party in 1998. It's not a very flattering comparison, I think, and it does illustrate, or at least the former case illustrates, that violent action taken against this Parliament only results in constitutional complications that it can take several years to extract oneself from. So one has to ask oneself, what is the practical political benefit to the nation of carrying this measure out? And there could be several. While the noble Lady Smith of Basildon could have said that her purpose is to achieve a permanent reduction in the size of your Lordship's house. She could have said that her purpose is to create capacity for the appointment of Labour peers to fill up those places. There's a perfectly respectable case could be made for doing either of those, but in fact she has given no practical benefit or purpose for carrying this measure through. The government are doing this entirely because they can, which is exactly the same rationale that Colonel Pride used. May I take this opportunity to say also that the attempt by the noble Baroness Lady Smith somehow to blame the Conservatives, and almost in particular my noble friend Lord True, for this measure, on the grounds that he should have embraced the Grocott Bill in the past, doesn't succeed in putting me or many of my colleagues on the moral back foot, because many of us weren't here for the Grocott Bill. We know almost nothing about the Grocott Bill. I did not reject the Grocott Bill because nobody ever asked me to give an opinion on the Grocott Bill. The one thing I would say about the noble Lord Grocott, for whom I have a great deal of respect, is that the abolition of the by-elections for hereditary peers by what undoubtedly remains legally dubious means, has the very sad result that we are going to be deprived of his commentary on the results of those by-elections on each occasion that they're announced, which has always been a highlight for me, and I think for many noble lords. Can I turn to the political and constitutional basis for what the government is doing? It rests, of course, on their manifesto. Now, anybody picking up their manifesto, as I have many times, it is absolutely plain that under the heading immediate reform of the House of Lords, there are proposed a series of measures and commitments, one of which is the removal of hereditary peers, but there are others which I don't need to recite because they've been mentioned several times, but they include the age limit and getting rid of disgraced peers and so forth. There's a list of them. And they sit together quite clearly as part of that immediate commitment. There is another commitment which has no timeline attached to it, of course. That's a separate matter, which is that Labour will seek to consult on proposals seeking the input of the British public. That does not have a timeline commitment to it, but the others do, and they clearly belong as a package. And in a meeting that the noble Baroness Lady Smith was good enough to have with all peers, and she has repeated this today, she said, particularly in respect of my comment about this in an earlier debate, that I had missed the full stop at the end of the sentence. Well, it is true, my lords, I may be at fault in this. I had taken little notice of the full stop at the end of the sentence. I sort of assumed there would be a full stop at the end of the sentence, but it turns out that this full stop is to bear a constitutional weight that the noble Baroness relies on in God knows where we'd be if there'd been a paragraph break at the end of the sentence. All I am asking, the noble Baroness said in that meeting, she characterised my position as do nothing until you do everything. That has never been my position. My position is that the Labour Party should commit to carrying out and show us that it's carrying out its own manifesto. Why is that so difficult?